Hello, welcome to episode 1 of Death of the Chef. Today we're going to start with the episode Tom's Lament. Thomas Twiddell is our camera person over here at camera 2, the eye level camera.
Yeah.
To start, we're going to take flour tortilla, adorn it with 2 fried eggs, some cheese, other various things that contribute to its mendacity, and turn it into something that's hopefully a little bit more edible by the end of this. So join us and we will get started with episode 1, Tom's Lament. So for step 1 of Tom's unfortunate lament is this mendacity, which is my favorite word of the day now.
I noticed.
The biggest flour tortilla you can possibly find and procure. And then, for some reason that I don't know, and maybe if I can open the cheese, we're going to take our shredded cheese, preferably the pre-shredded stuff, because that's even worse. And, you're just going to kind of throw it down as per the creator's notes. And for an unspecified degree, really. Thank you, Jonah, for the face bombs or whatever just happened. And then if you're too lazy to actually open your cheese properly, you can cut it open. Anyway, now we get to move on to...
I just got such a good idea for a camera angle.
Throw our basil down.
No, that has Thomas.
10 leaves of basil, because that, again, is recipes specified instructions to a smattered degree. And now we get to move over to the stove. All right, so the next step of Tom's Lament is the 2 fried eggs. So the important part with your eggs, first, for being fried, is that they have to be fried. So that includes butter and, I suppose, whatever other oil you want, just loosely throughout the pan. You don't want too much depth because then you're deep frying your eggs, and that would be a situation that I've never tried, so I don't advise it. So our first step is going to be cracking the eggs. If I fail to crack the eggs properly, then we have to start this all again, and the last 5 minutes were mayhem. So let's hope. Egg 1 held together, so we're all set with that one. I'm just gonna throw that in there. Egg 2, here's to hoping it stayed together. Look at that. We can get a round of applause on set. I'm gonna wash my hands quickly. Those are gonna cook. Don't touch a hot pan, by the way. That's not a good idea. Okay, so now that your eggs have set, you can probably season them a little bit. Be very restrained with your salt. Wilson, are you alright, buddy? Just a little bit of salt, especially if you've got celery salt. Is Wilson more important than your job?
No. No, sir!
That's right. Next, we're going to take your celery salt, which I've never used in my life. Thanks, Tom. Sprinkle that over top.
Today marks a day that you can't go back from.
Exactly, and this is the first application. A little bit of pepper. I don't want it to be overpowering because I don't think pepper and strawberry jelly that's been microwaved for a minute and a half is gonna play well. That's just a theory, though. So now we're gonna let these fry for a little bit until essentially the whites have set, maybe browned a little bit around the edges, but the yolks are still runny. I don't know how that's gonna hold up after it's microwaved. We are about to find out. So,
I will say for reference, this is uncharted territory as my yolks were entirely solid.
I'm really glad that is something that I don't have to contend with unless I overcook these.
I paused. Okay, good.
If you
So
overcook
that's
them,
it.
they'll
That's
be
what
very
it's like.
solid. Oh.
Okay, so now that the eggs have solidified a bit, at least in the yolks, or the whites and the eggs are still runny, we're gonna turn off our oven's heat and try to slide these out without breaking anything. I'm gonna separate these because I'm not that confident in my ability to do that. Or we're not gonna separate them, and we are just gonna hope. So we
It'll be fine.
turn them out of the pan. We're gonna set the pan off to the side because we're gonna use that later, and it's still hot, so if we hit it with water, we're gonna take off the coating. So, we've got our eggs. Next, if I'm not mistaken, is the strawberry jelly? Okay, so the final and most revolting part of this entire process is our strawberry fruit spread, which we are going to use what is depicted as 1 sandwich's worth. So I don't actually know what that means. So I'm just gonna take my jelly here, and this hurts me on every culinary degree possible, and just, spread a little bit, much to the dismay of those on set.
Oh, it's so much.
It's so much.
Tom
This is, I can fix sandwich.
Tom is not dismayed in the slightest.
So now that we've done the most disappointing thing I could have done with my Friday afternoon, we're gonna go over to the microwave to make this even worse. Because whatever reason, now this is going to get microwaved. That is a sad sentence. So we're gonna put this creation in here. I'm gonna put in 1 minute and 30 seconds, no more, and unfortunately no less. Close it and nuke it. And now we wait. This is sad.
I think I can do the help with the cleanup? Or...
No, I'm not cleaning that much more. So we've done it. There's no turning back. This opens. This is gonna be atomically hot, probably. So what you're gonna do is just, oh, it's not that bad. Before you put it, oh god. Is this, Tom, the creator, does this improve?
It actually looks better than mine.
Oh, should it go back in or are you ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay.
It smells so much like basil.
It does, actually. So we're gonna get some forks so that we can try it. That's smattering. Look at this monstrosity. Like,
Smile with your work.
I don't want to.
Use that.
So now that we're here, I guess this is the. I don't know what else to say. I'm just gonna do it. Does the yolk run at least? I did a thing. So
Thank you
everything's.
for turning this gourmet
So
in.
I'm not even gonna go through a run through. The eggs are. The eggs are fucked. The basil's dead. The cheese is melted. Everything's separated. I hate my life. Let's do this. Let's get some of the basil, I guess. This is fuck this. Bon appetit. It's so hot. Oh. Okay. All I'm getting is basil and egg.
Okay.
You gotta go back in.
Do I need like a minute? I don't know.
Just take a bit of.
No.
Okay, that's terrible. Okay, so the criticism is that it's not good. Nothing about this is supposed to exist together. Nothing about it coheres, and the fact that all of it has broken or entered a new state of matter is not enjoyable in any regard. So I think it earns the term of lament. You guys get to try it now.
Awesome.
Yay!
It was bad. I got all the flavors at once, unlike Jake. I got the evil jelly. I got the bad basil, and then eggs and cheese on top of it.
What's up, guys? I'm reflecting on my experience having eaten whatever that was. It wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't good, but it was more strange than it was bad.
You know, I was a bit scared of Tom's Lament because of the name, because of the basil, because of the jelly. But, you know, when I grabbed a bite, I mostly got eggs, cheese, tortilla, and happy.
We're gonna use the
Okay.
mozzarella eventually.
So
We're still gonna use the
When
mozzarella eventually.
when I first ate it, essentially I tasted the individual flavors instead of it combined. So it was just jelly and then some egg and then some cheese. That was fine. Eventually you get a little bit of the combined. That's not good.
However, it was not as bad as the initial concoction. And I'm gonna have to figure out what I did differently.
I don't know how I managed to get the individual in a sequence for the most part, but I would not try it again if it were just the combined part. I give it, I don't know, low out of 10. I can't be bothered to figure it out.
I would have had another slice, honestly. I don't think I got the best combination of flavors. I think I think it's important to get the right combination, and I think 2 slices could have balanced that out. But overall, like 4 out of 10.
I am okay. I ate Tom's Lament and I'm okay. And I don't know if that's better or worse.
He's a survivor.
Before I begin, I'd like to preface with the fact that this was not my idea. It's called Tom's Lament for a reason. So in creating that, I didn't come up with any of those ideas, and I'd like that to be a symbol when I, mark my culinary crafts with such a disastrous amalgamum of broken jelly, questionably, I don't even know the adjective, eggs, and basil that became more pungent than any I've ever seen in my life, or smelled for that matter. It didn't elicit a gag reflex, so it's got a plus going for it in that regard, but never in my life will I willingly do this again.
Thank you so much.
Now that we've gotten that out of the way, much to everybody's pleasure, especially Catherine, may he rest in peace, We're gonna do our next version, which is gonna be a pesto egg prosciutto breakfast burrito with a balsamic strawberry reduction to go over top. So let's get to cooking. So the first stage of this is making a strawberry balsamic reduction, which we'll just have going while we're cooking. So to do that, we're just gonna take a few strawberries. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, however many that is gonna be. That's 5. Look at that. We'll probably do a few more, but whatever. So you're just gonna cut the ends off of all of those, making sure not to slice your fingers off because that is never a fun experience. Hospitals can be notoriously slow, and then that hinders the amount of time your balsamic cooks. It could over-reduce, and then you can't taste your strawberries, so nobody wants that. And then on top of that, with the fact that it's all just, red, you won't be able to tell. So to do this, we're just gonna chop them up roughly because it really doesn't matter. We're just trying to impart the flavor of strawberries. And we will likely strain this at the end. So it doesn't matter how finely they're chopped, just be careful again when you're doing such so that you don't slice your fingers. Just try to get them broken up a little bit so that more cell walls are broken, it's easier to get the flavor out of it, all of that fun stuff that comes from cooking and imparting flavor into things. And then your friends don't yell at you for not knowing what you're doing. So that's all fun stuff sometimes. So now that we're almost done, and this step was basically pointless, and I don't know why I bothered to do it, we can move on once you can scrape this off your knife. So, after that, we're gonna go to the stovetop. So if you decide not to go with death by balsamic to never have to deal with your friends again, you can take your balsamic vinegar, turn your oven on medium, lowish. It's not really it is a science, but I don't know how to do it properly. And take your balsamic, just pour it in the pan. The whole idea of this is just to reduce it down, to get a thick glaze to go over top, and hopefully impart the strawberry flavor. So we're gonna do that. Keep the stove on for the most part. Just watch that, make sure it doesn't boil over. Close this up and let it do its thing. This is probably a bit more butter than we need, but we've got some in the pan. We're gonna take our flour tortilla here and we're just gonna toss it in to get it toasted up a little bit, get some browning. At the same time, your balsamic is gonna start to bubble. I'm sorry to everybody in the kitchen because this is gonna be very pungent, so try not to inhale just straight balsamic because as Tom found out, that will devastate your nostrils. So, we're just gonna wait for this to toast and then we'll continue on. So, the tortilla is toasted mildly on both sides. That's about the most we can ask for. We don't want it to get crispy because then it's not really gonna hold anything very well. So, we're gonna take that out, plop it on our plate. Maybe turn your oven down a little bit. You've got an electric stove like I do. It's not gonna go down immediately, which is why gas is better for those kinds of things. But we work what we have. Thank you for the agreement, Catherine. Don't know what I'd do without that. So, you're gonna hut that in. And if you're cooking for a restaurant, you obviously know how to cook, so I'm not going to bother explaining, but using your hands, make sure you wash them periodically, just so you don't infect anybody with germs. It's general human common sense, but nonetheless.
Are we assuming restaurant people will watch this?
Oh, not at all. I don't think anybody's going to watch this.
I will.
I'm honored. Alright, so now we're going to go on to our 2 wonderful eggs here, which I just realized that we're scrambling, not frying. So we're actually going to turn down our heat significantly more and wait. So to improve upon the disaster that was 10 random leaves of basil, and mostly because I want to, we are going to make pesto to supplement that. Because we have 2 people who are allergic to nuts, and we value them a little bit. We're not going to put pine nuts in this. Typically we put pine nuts in pesto first and grind them up. We're going to skip that part and just take an undisclosed amount of fresh basil, throw it in. A lot of pesto making is, well, I'm sure it's written down somewhere as a science, but it's mostly personal preference. So, we're going to take that, close it up, and you're just going to pulse it a couple times and chop up your basil. I'm going to stop, open it, and add our wonderful mix-ins. So first, I've just got some garlic here in garlic juice, for lack of a better word. And that's going to impart more garlic flavor, which is wonderful. You could use fresh garlic, and that would probably be significantly better. But we're not going to do that because that's another process with another cutting board, and I don't want to do that. All right, thanks for the sound effects. So you've got garlic. We're going to take some lemon juice. Again, fresh lemon, better. I don't have one of those. So we're just going to do this. Again, we're going to do this. Probably have to go back and revise the quantities for taste, but this is just how we're going to do it. So we're going to take all that. We'll probably have more cheese later. And pulse once again. Alright, so as you can see, it's getting stuck to the sides, and that's because we're yet to add our most integral and wonderful part, olive oil. So, This is where it's probably going to be the most lenient. You're going to add a little bit at a time. All right. Alright, so to substitute for the fried eggs, which would just break, collapse, and be a general disappointment in a burrito, we're going to substitute with scrambled eggs. So we've got some butter that's been heating up on like medium-low heat. The idea is not to overcook the eggs because then they're just going to solidify. Be a weird omelet situation. That's just not what we want. So I've beaten 2 eggs together in this bowl here. I'm going to add them into the butter. You hear sizzling. Your pan is too hot. You've done something wrong. Start again because your eggs will be overcooked and a general, again, disappointment. So now we're just going to try to repeatedly stir. That's the idea here. You don't want eggs to set up right away in large clumps because then you're not going to get the nice fluffy eggs that you are used to, accustomed to, and love oh so dearly in your heart. And we're going to wait to apply seasoning for a little bit. So this is just a process of stirring, which Parker is going to have to axe, of course, because it's a long process. Scrambled eggs are done. They're in a state of homogeneity. Turn off the heat, take them off the heat, and now we're going to go on to the next step. Okay, who am I looking at? So for the next step, we're actually going to enter our semi-assembly stage. So to begin, we're going to take a spoon, we're going to take our pesto, and we're just going to do a layer of pesto throughout the whole burrito. It's pretty self-explanatory as to the reasons. I don't have much to say beyond that, honestly. My commentary is waning. There's a lot of pepper in this pesto. Hopefully it tastes fine. That was a bit of a miscalculation on my part, so my apologies in advance if you guys don't like that. Next, we're going to take our scrambled eggs, which are thoroughly scrambled, put them in the lower trimester, it's probably the wrong word, of our burrito. Thanks, Hugo. Our burrito, just so that when it folds up, they don't get weirdly squished out and everything folds up nicely. Then we're going to take this cheese here, hope that the residual heat and the toasting actually allows it to melt. This has been pre-shredded beforehand, just so that it's an easier process. If you use pre-shredded as opposed to fresh shredded, your pre-shredded stuff from the store is going to have a lot of like declumping agents in it, so it's just going to lend generally worse flavor overall. It's not going to melt quite as well, so always grate your own cheese. So we're going to set this to the side, and then the folding process, which I have not done in years, so let's hope this works. So it's bottom, sides, bottom again. So we're going to fold that up.
Yeah, get our burrito consultant in here.
Fold the sides in, and then roll the rest of the burrito until you've got a semi-burrito. But we're not done yet. We're going to take the pan, turn the heat on, and then we're going to take a burrito, and we're going to put it in to toast it. And hope that that helps melt the cheese, solidify the shape a little bit, and we'll be ready to eat. So before we cut into it, just a brief overview. We've got a toasted, massive flour tortilla, some homemade pesto, scrambled eggs, freshly shredded cheddar cheese, and to adorn all of that, some balsamic glaze with balsamic strawberries, and some freshly picked basil to garnish. Let's see if any of this work was worth any monochrome of the time that we put into it by bisecting and crushing this entire thing with a mediocre knife. Okay. What are you whispering over there? So, upon inspection, everything looks melted enough. What is happening? I am so incredibly lost. This is just falling apart. Oh my god. Thank you for the. I appreciate the thumbs up from you, at least.
Thanks, Jonah.
And for this messy. This is a disaster. I'm sorry. I cook things. I don't eat
Hey,
things.
it's not your fault.
No, it's fine. As long as it tastes good,
It's
it should
your
be
fault.
alright.
Buy your money before your money buys you.
I'm saying.
That's so much better. It's actually good. The balsamic's a little powerful. It's good. You guys try it.
Alright.
So I just did some jump squats with Tom in Shane's yard, and the burrito was good. I'm not actually that tired, but eat the burrito.
I don't know, it was good. Good burrito. Better than the abject failure of Tom's Lament.
What
I'd
made
say.
it good?
A variety of factors. Number one, it wasn't microwaved. Number two, there wasn't any jelly involved. Number three, it was just a better idea in general.
It was much better, for sure. It was actually a meal instead of an awful concoction.
It was said that parts of this were a failure because they did not evoke emotion. Wow, that is a truthful statement. I think its lack of emotional invoking, considering what it did cause previously, is a benefit to its creation. And I think it was a genuinely good dish. While the balsamic was overpowering in some regards, it was a genuine improvement and something that, despite the hour that went into its creation, was worth the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Alright, welcome back to episode 2 of Death of the Chef. On the last episode, we made Tom's Lament. And this time, we're going to make the Hugo Holker, as decided 10 seconds ago. It is going to be a toasted potato roll, which we've pre-toasted. A layer of mozzarella shredded cheese. A not insignificant amount of hot sauce. Ham. Mayo on the ham.
Yeah!
With cream cheese to finish off.
You already know.
I love the enthusiasm. So, considering just how simple and likely abhorrible this sandwich will be, we are just going to get started now. So to continue on, we're going to take our mozzarella cheese. Just, that good?
Yeah.
Alright. How much mozzarella cheese?
Now waterlog it.
We are going to, as Hugo just said, waterlog it with hot sauce. We're going to shake the hot sauce first.
Hot solder log it.
Nope.
Oh, why would you say
Nuh-uh.
We have just your average mild
Hot sauce.
original hot sauce imported from Mexico, it says. And you are going to be the deciding factor. You're going to say when, and I'm just going to stop, okay? Okay.
That's probably good.
Oh, okay. That's not as bad as I was expecting. That's going to be palatable.
Actually, can we go with a bit more?
Yeah, of course we can.
a little?
You can do whatever you want. This is Hugo, what was it?
The Hugo Holker.
Alright, now we're good.
Okay,
Perfect.
we're good?
It's like, it looks like pizza, but
It's
wrong.
not. You're going to be so
If it
disappointed.
was just this, it would be a really bad pizza.
Wait, did we forget the potato? Were there potato chips in here?
Oh, there are.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, we need potato chips.
Dude, Cape Cod is the
Yeah,
best.
you guys were supposed to be able to eat these while I was filming. I forgot.
You? I literally wanted to.
Oh, alright.
You're so
we
cool.
We can do it now, I guess.
Or the last ingredient.
Pickety pass
You can go
it.
past
Alright, guys.
Guys, we're filming.
Now, the next
Don't crinkle
is
it.
ham folded into quarters. Quarters specifically. There is no other way to do this.
Yes.
How many slices of ham would you like?
One.
One
Well,
slice of ham.
no. Okay, so it was more on the original sandwich. The potato buns were like half this size, so you can go with 2 folded into half.
I'm doing 2 folded into quarters.
Also acceptable. Funnier.
Oh god.
That's not staying.
So, see, this is why you should have folded it maybe into halves.
No, I have an idea.
You gotta emphasize the
talk.
Oh, that is
crease.
smart. I see what you're doing.
I'm gonna talk. I'm a genius.
Tuck it in.
Now, mayo
Tucker.
on top
Oh yeah.
of the ham. More mayo?
That's good.
Okay, that's fine.
That's quite good.
No, it's not. And then we're gonna open up
Delectable.
freaking cream cheese.
Yeah.
It is a
Don't
shocking
stop
amount of
cheering.
cream cheese.
It is a shocking amount.
It is a lot. It's like a good, like,
All right, well we've got here.
Quarter
Measure
of an
that.
inch.
That's 2 ounces, 4 ounces, 6 ounces. How many ounces?
like a quarter of an inch in width and just the full block in height.
What the hell?
Just take a solid quarter inch off. Is what he's
Quarter
I
saying.
inch
understand.
off
No,
the
I
wall.
understand the
Put the
words.
entire block on the potato roll and cut it out.
Don't be absurd.
Do not do that.
That's the point of the show.
Exactly, Hugo.
Shane reveals
okay.
the meta?
It's okay because this is the tamest thing that we have lined up so far.
Would you say that is an amount?
That is an amount.
That's yeah. Spread that on the bread.
Thank God.
Bread that, more like.
Not
Read that sucker up.
Okay, that's way more than I used. But it's fine.
We're committed. Oh,
That is more than a quarter inch, I think.
it was maybe a half.
Yeah, that was like.
Solid half.
I think that's almost double what you.
However much it was
I can
solid.
scrape some off.
No.
No.
Okay. I
Nope.
can't scrape some off.
All right.
Not.
And don't forget the chips. That's
The bread is also bigger, so factoring that in, that was fine.
Are they crushed or are they just on?
They're crushed, they're crumbled. A good amount. By good, I mean a little more than maybe is good.
Is that good?
More.
More?
Yeah.
Why is this?
Got the mortar and pestle out?
Is that good?
Yeah, that's alright.
Alright, I'm gonna go wash the oil off my hands. Which is not
You win
something
some,
I
you win
wanted
some,
to
you
do.
lose some.
Behold the Hugo Hulker.
You're in the shot!
Alright, so to
It's
culminate,
his goddamn
The-
sandwich.
I don't give a shit. When
Guys,
Tom was in the shot, it
to
was a
culminate the
problem.
Hugo Holker,
Yeah!
squish, we're done.
Woo!
I'm just gonna cut this into some more moderate sized pieces, get a bite for myself, and then
I
the
will
fruit.
genuinely take the other half of that.
You will not, because I'm.
Cut it into sixths.
You will not.
I'm just gonna try.
That's not a sixth.
I know.
I don't think anyone else will want it.
I don't want that
though.
much. All right, bite
Go.
of the Hugo Holker.
Hardly know her.
Thoughts.
Is it weird to say that I didn't taste anything except for spice? I don't know if it's like a double negative concept, but the only thing that I taste is a mildest amount of ham and just a tiniest little dazzle of spice.
Well, the mozzarella cancels out the cream cheese.
That's not how
No.
it
Not.
No.
That's not how that works.
Anyway,
It was just.
you guys only want like a little bite, right? Like maybe a tiny.
I don't want any.
Bon appetit. So, to improve upon the Hugo Holker, which everybody except for Hugo, want to highlight that, thought could be improved upon. So, to improve upon that, which is the rightful course of action, we're going to make a sandwich called a Monte Cristo. Are you alright, Jake?
Drink some more, man.
Okay. So, we're going to make a Monte Cristo. So, what that is basically is a glorified ham and cheese. So, we're going to make a ham and cheese sandwich, keeping the tradition of potato roll, which is unorthodox. We're going to do it nonetheless. Then things get wild when we French toast the entire sandwich and sprinkle it with powdered sugar, and to substitute the strawberry jelly that would typically go on it, but to keep the spice, we're going to use homemade hot pepper jelly. So, let's get started on the improvement. This part, I'll just explain what I did after.
Okay,
But
Thomas is coming.
Okay.
So there's no more of this.
This is like an atrocious step that I don't like, that I don't want to do, but... What? What were you trying to relay with that disgruntled
Oh, that was bad.
series of noises? I should have done this differently to start. We're going to try to take off this top layer so that it can absorb the French toast batter easier. Which... I don't have words.
It's like my mother always says. Never cut towards yourself.
This is the dullest knife you'll ever encounter.
I don't even care. She doesn't let me do it with a butter knife.
So now we're going to build the base of our ham and cheese. I've sliced the dry exterior off of the bread. The idea for that is that when it's toasted, or French toasted, sorry, it will absorb the batter easier. That way we can get more absorption, better aesthetic, crispier edges, all of that beautiful stuff that goes into a sandwich. That's especially when French toasted. So to start, Monte Cristos have mustard. So we've got some spicy Dijon here, which will hopefully emulate some of the hot sauce effects without being just blatantly revolting. That was directed at Hugo in case.
Me.
So we're gonna
That
spread
was directed towards Shane.
I figured as much, thank you. So spread that on. Now we've got some Swiss cheese and some ham. Before we do that, I'm gonna need these though. We need to emulate our potato chip aspect still. So I'm gonna put that under the ham and the Swiss just so that it has something to anchor it. Once again, I'm gonna wash my hands off because of oil and chips and disgustingness. Feels so bad for Parker because this is all a mess and she's gonna have a terrible time. Shh. Okay.
It's called Death of the Chef, not Death of the Editor. Shut up.
Oh yeah, I'm the only one who has to suffer here. That's
Yep.
right. So now we're gonna take some ham. We used 2 slices in the last one, so we'll try to use 2 slices in this one. Okay, that's a slice and a half. I don't really care. Set that to the side. Fold it in.
Bless you.
Let's do half. This one in half, going the opposite direction. Not enough ham. We'll do another slice of ham. This is no wimpy sandwich after all.
Diarrhea.
It's a Hulker, as previously described.
Is this the Shane Hulker? Is that what we're calling
No.
him?
The
Never.
Shulker.
Shulker in Minecraft.
We have
I hardly know her.
We're still recording.
Right,
Yeah.
my bad.
This is some robust
We're making
cheese.
jokes. It's a show.
Yeah,
So-
where's your quirky commentary?
Take that, put it on top. Yeah, I'm sorry, robust cheese is the best you're getting. Then we're gonna take our mayo, that's gonna go inside still, replace the bechamel that would typically go in a Monte Cristo, but I don't feel like making a roux and then slowly emulsifying milk, because that's not fun right now. Especially when Hugo will just tell me that it wasn't worth it and I should use mayo. I just realized that I did this wrong and this was supposed to be cream cheese in my mind, but that's fine, because I can make it work.
Cream cheese goes in.
Sure,
Cream
yes,
cheese
sir.
is going to go in a different place. So, for now, we're all set. So in this bowl, we've got 2 eggs. Right now, we're making the, we'll call it a dredge, for which we're going to incorporate and dip our sandwich in, which is unfortunate. I'm going to add, that worked, I guess. That was unintentional. Add some cream cheese, because I really have no idea how else to do that. And then we're going to take the milk. Add an unspecified quantity. I should have measured all of this so I could tell people what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna beat that with a fork. Stab the yolks just so they break apart and you're not here for an eternity. So how's everybody doing?
I really like that sandwich.
Yeah, I know you did, and that makes me sad for you as a person.
I'm
mostly.
going to really like French toast.
You may be a little. If you're going into it just expecting like sweet French toast.
I'm not,
Okay.
because you put mustard on it.
Not well. Yeah, on the French toast.
I really like that sandwich.
I know you did.
Hugo, would you pay $5 for that sandwich?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I'll make you another one then.
Here's
I
my,
have $5
here's
with
my
me.
thought. If this gets popular, you should, which it will, you should open a restaurant serving only the failed versions because there are freaks out there who will pay.
Yeah, I wonder who would do that. Alright, so now that this has been emulsified enough, we're going to take it over to the stovetop and we can start our French toast process. We've got butter in the pan, it's been heating up for a little bit, a little over medium heat. And now we're going to do yet another atrocious thing on this wonderful Friday afternoon. We're going to take our sandwich here, make sure it's pressed down, that'll help your cheese melt faster, get a little bit of heat to go throughout. And there's no cleanly way to do this, no way to keep your hands from getting gross, eggy, and disgusting. So you're just going to take the sandwich, and you're going to plop it in, and we're going to let it sit, I don't know, for like 10 seconds. If someone starts counting, I will throw something at them. And then we're going to, oh wow, that's soaked.
10.
Maybe a little less than 10 seconds. Oh, God. Then you're going to take it out. That is drenched. And you're going to plop it in. And then you're going to let it French toast. And you're going to wash off your hand. Unless you want to give salmonella to every single possible person you encounter throughout the next 24 hours. So once you've toasted this to your sufficient degree and you think it's French enough, we're going to take it. We're going to kill the heat. And then we're going to grab a plate. Give it a few cursory shakes if you feel oh so inclined and want to be semi-proud of what it is that you're doing for some reason. Take that, remove it onto the plate, and then we're going to go back over to the table for final bit of plating. So for final additions to Monte Cristos, it's usually powdered sugar and a jelly of some kind, usually strawberry, but we're going to use a spicy pepper jelly to supplement for the hot sauce. So, because our powdered sugar company is not sponsoring us, their name will be hidden, but we're going to use powdered sugar. Just put some in a little sieve.
It's so pretty.
Put it over top. Thank you for your admiration of that. We're going to set it off to the side if you really want to. Take a nice heaping helping of jelly, place it on top, Bon appetit. It's now it's time to taste. So we finished all of our filming for today, or not quite, but all of our cooking at least. So my work is basically done. So now I just get to eat a Monte Cristo. It is semi-egg logged, but let's at least. Thank you, Hugo. Get a cross section of the situation.
Gorgeous.
Look at that! It's a Monte Cristo. I will take off the back ends to not just shovel the aesthetic of it. I don't know where that sentence was going. Of course, it's falling apart. What? Oh my god! Why can I not cut things today?
Guess I'm doing okay.
Oh, I lost jam on the ground. No, it's not even the ground; it's the table. I can't say I hate it. It mostly tastes like pepper jelly. A significant improvement from the Hugo Holker.
Right. Uh-huh.
But I'll leave that to you guys to decide.
Yeah.
The jelly is part of the jelly, well confirmed.
You need help with like cleanup or something?
No, I got it.
Are you sure? You don't have to be professional all the time. It's okay.
You don't
We're
have
your
to
friends.
be the president all the time. Not amongst
Alright.
pals.
You
So-
can just be shamed.
The Jake take?
The Jake.
I went back in because I had to get the bread.
You gotta get that bread, Jake. Oh my god.
That was such a committed bite.
It's gonna fall out.
Do you need to run over to the sink? Okay. Does someone else want to stand in while Catherine's doing that? Tom, you're up.
Was it bad? Alright. Don't get this part, please.
Where's the knife?
Please.
Where did you knife?
Was it good at least? Bad? Okay.
What? How did that happen then? I don't have no ham.
You were so
I'll have
close
no
to
ham
having an
left.
efficient bite.
Yeah, it was. A little bit of the ham didn't go
I'll
through.
have no ham left. For my money.
I'll take over.
It's not even the part that you're gonna be eating.
What?
This is falling.
Just eat it.
Just
You gotta
eat it.
commit.
Wow. That was really good.
It's like at the end of the day, you really shouldn't care.
I know if everybody else liked it, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Hey, Hugo's a valuable person.
He is.
Not in terms
Well,
of food taste.
We value you,
Yeah.
Hugo. I want you. Why did Hugo get the best, most efficient bite? That is wrong.
Well, he's
Dramatic irony. That's not what dramatic irony means.
I would eat this like almost as much as the original.
You know what? I'll
Let's
take
go.
it.
I would say if you're more of a person, this is an improvement.
Fuck yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Death of the Chef, the show where we take culinary monstrosities and turn them into hopeful masterpieces. Today on episode 3, we are analyzing the dish The Foolish Surprise, a drink, this time curated by Jonah. This blasphemous concoction contains balsamic vinegar, vanilla extract, black coffee, pepper, maple syrup, lime juice, lemon juice, seltzer, oat milk today, salt, and for some unknown reason, Swiss Miss. So join us as we thoroughly poison ourselves on episode 3. Let's get cooking. Alright, so to begin episode 3, we're going to begin as we always do, and that is constituting the foolish surprise. We're just going to get started because there's no other course of action, and it's Friday, and we're here now. So we're going to start with our base 3 tablespoons of vanilla extract, which I'm just going to approximate because I don't want to bother wasting an actual tablespoon measuring cup on this. Bit more. We'll say that that's 3 tablespoons. Then we're going to take a can of seltzer, not the most egregious action we're going to commit today. And that's just all. Oh, that is an unfortunate fizz. But it's all just. Doesn't matter if it splashes. This is blasphemous either way. So that's done. Now we're going to take. That is really quite carbonated. Wow. Okay, now we're going to take our maple syrup. None of this is specified, by the way, in the actual instructions. So this is really just if you are foolish enough to make this to your own whim. So now we're going to take balsamic vinegar, and that's going into, that's probably so much more than enough. We're just going to keep going.
Just keep rolling. Yeah, just keep it
A
going.
squirt-ish of lemon juice. I've run out of commentary. It's like 5 minutes in, and I'm already so disappointed with the fact that we agreed to make a cooking show together.
How many? Why would someone make this? What would you think is the intention of someone making this?
Because he hates his friends.
So
Milk. I don't know. There's no logical basis for any of this. It doesn't cohere. It's just. It's a revolting concept. And I'm sorry, Jonah, if you feel any passion or care towards this, but it's not something I can wholeheartedly endorse. We've got black coffee now following our oat milk. It says be careful in the recipe. I don't know what that means. It's some salt. That's also probably far more than we need, but it's all just a terrible amalgam of things. Some black pepper. That's a lot. I don't care. And then the coup de grace is a packet of Swiss Miss. I don't think there's any commentary needed here. That's just gonna keep going. And then you take your whisk and you just whisk and hope that this isn't the way you die. That's immortalized in an obituary in your local newspaper that you died because your friend was foolish enough to put Swiss Miss, lemon juice, maple syrup, and vanilla extract in something and then suggest you make a cooking show and tell you that you should do this because it would be fun, they said. This is all going to be so fun.
it looks like
It's foamed. How is it foamed? So we're done. It's going to be time to taste it. So let's get to tasting. On episode 1 of Tom's Lament, before trying it, I said, I don't want to. That resonates with me now more than ever, as we're going to pour this and take our first actual taste, because this was never tried in the field before. So we're just going to... Oh, that's a heaping portion. Show that to the camera. And it's just... You gotta commit. You just gotta... Uh, 0 out of 10, would not recommend. To any brave souls who want to try this, it's your turn. How do you feel?
Not good.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad. It was quite horrible, and I do feel mildly ill.
Shocked?
This is what I mean when I say that I don't like coffee.
Slightly ill, nauseous. I feel like there is no real reason for me to do that.
A little surprised, some could describe it as.
This was better than coffee. This was a better drink than coffee. I would drink this every morning.
You know, it elicited much more of a physical reaction.
I was able to push through, and I did not throw up, which was surprising.
I won't sit here and act like I am not at least a little off my game.
I feel like the name Foolish Surprise is very apt because it looks like chocolate before you get the vinegar, and I think that the name is awful, but at least it lets you know what you're in for.
How did it taste?
How didn't it taste?
Very bad drink.
It tasted bad, but manageable.
spicy, bitter, repulsive, kind of everything you hate in a food.
I would compare it to like a bastardization, evisceration, laceration, decapitation, etc. of root beer.
It sort of had every flavor and none of the good ones.
The original was definitely less sweet, actually. There was not necessarily, well, not sweet, less vanilla.
Don't get me wrong. Far and above the worst thing I've eaten or drank in months. Possibly within the year.
What would drive someone to make this, other than your troubled childhood?
We cannot say for certain at this point in time.
Anger, hate,
psychopathy, probably.
Pure insanity. I think only somebody with malice in their heart and nothing in their brain could have the lack of thinking to be able to create that.
If I didn't know the answer, I would say hatred, knowing Jonah incompetence.
Well, you know, I mean, lots of things can drive a man to madness, but a foolish surprise cannot fix a mad man.
I don't think the person who made it is okay. I don't think I'm okay after doing that. I think if I were to drink it again, I would need at least a full week to prepare.
Do you have any words for the chef or Jonah or anyone else?
His name is Wilson. He's a cutie patootie.
The chef, the poor chef.
Not really. I mean, it's not the chef's fault. I know we're all about killing him here, but it's not his fault.
Well, you know, it's on days like this where you really just gotta sit back and taste the foolish surprise.
I mean, keep going, I guess, to both of them.
I don't know too much about what you're going to do to try to make this good, but I'm very eager to see it because I don't think I could come anywhere near towards doing that.
I'll make a variant of it again. I never make the same thing twice when I'm midnight. Not midnight gourmanding. Foolish gourmanding.
So admittedly, I want to stall this interview as much as possible and just throw together this recipe so that I can put that as far behind me as possible. We're only 3 episodes in, and I don't think anything we ever make, even I will ever make for the rest of my life, will surpass that in just how... I don't know the word. Nothing has made me so upset with my choices leading up to this moment. So I think, at least on the plus side, the bar for what I have to beat is so incredibly low that I could really just do this with my eyes closed, probably chop off a thumb in the process, and we'd be all set. So I've got that feeling, at least. But I never want to think about that again, and I never want to see Swiss Miss and balsamic in a combo. Happy Friday. So we've rallied, we're alive, we're here, and we're ready to hopefully make this into something that's palatable. So, we're not going to adopt any form factor that we encountered in that previous episode because that would be a critical mistake, and given the fact that everybody was on the verge of throwing up, minus Tom, who's just insane, we are, again, not keeping it a liquid. So we're going to keep all the same ingredients, add a few, and make chicken and waffles out of that. So that's going to be a maple chocolate waffle with fried chicken. Parker's giving me an astounded face, with a lemon lime balsamic sauce going over top. And on the side, because honestly, there is no way to add coffee without it just being an addition that would result in a net zero flavor, we're gonna have a nice cup of coffee to adorn it, because chicken waffles is typically a breakfast dish. So, join me, we'll get started improving this on Death of the Chef. Alright, so the first step of this process is to make our lemon lime balsamic reduction, similar to what we did in episode 1 with the strawberries, except this time we're gonna use lemon and lime, obviously. So we're gonna zest and slice up some lemon and limes, add them in the pan, we'll take it over to the stovetop, throw in some balsamic, and reduce it for a little while. So, to start, we are actually only going to zest half of this lemon and lime. I'm sure that's the better way to do it. Because the other half we're gonna slice, and we wanna keep the skin on so that when we ultimately use it for garnish, it looks a lot better than just kind of a pale, amorphous mass. And that would not be ideal. So we're just gonna do that. It's, again, a very rough process. It's not all necessary, but the more you have, the better. And we're gonna be adding a little bit of the juice into the sauce itself, so that's obviously gonna lend a bit of flavor. So whatever you can get out of this is ideal, but if you can't get a whole lot, then it is not in any way, shape, or form the end of the world. And if you can't get the sticker off, then you're just an abject failure and shouldn't be hosting a cooking show like me. And that's a joke, because stickers are hard and life is hard, so don't be defeated by a sticker. So now that this is all zested, we're just gonna take it, you can scoop it up with your knife, don't slice the tip of your finger off, and just throw that into the pan. And then you're gonna take said knife, cut that little section off of your lemons and limes. That'll be used for juice. Be very careful not to slice your fingers off, because that won't taste as good. So anyway, for the zested halves of your lemons and limes, you're just gonna squeeze that rocketed. You are just gonna squeeze the juice into your pan. There's actually a better way to do this than what I just did. So you take one hand and you hold it in the other and you hold like this. Any seeds that rocket out are just gonna get caught in your hand. And naturally, there aren't any seeds that are falling. Oh, never mind, that didn't work. I lied, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm the one hosting the show. But anyway, you're gonna take your lime, do the same thing just to convince yourself that you're partially skilled in whatever you're doing. The limes will be much easier. There you go, seeds caught. All right, so that those are out of the way. I'm gonna set those to the side. And this is a part we need to be very careful, as we are just going to try to very thinly slice some of these lemons and limes. Now that you've avoided slicing your fingers off, there's still a decent amount of lemon and lime, so if you want to squeeze one of those halves in, you're more than welcome, just to add a bit more of that flavor. I'm going to choose to do so. Again, catch your seeds, throw them out. And then you can take these slices and just throw them in. The idea for these is that they are going to get reduced with the balsamic, take on a bit of flavor, but hopefully hold a little bit of their color, and they'll look really nice for a garnish. So that concludes our work over here at the stovetop now, or at the counter. So now we're gonna move over to our stovetop. See you over there. So for what will be the topper of our chicken and waffles, we're gonna make a lemon lime balsamic reduction, similar to what we did on episode 1 of Tom's Lament, except this time it's gonna have a slightly more acidic note to cut the richness of the fried chicken and the sweet nature of the waffle. So to start, we're gonna take that lemon lime zest, juice, and slice combo that we just did over there on the counter, take our balsamic, and just kind of go for it. Mine is exiting the bottle incredibly slowly, so this is a longer process than it should be for anybody who has a reasonable nozzle, we'll call it. And that should be enough. Again, your oven is on medium, a little below. Just give it a few cursory mixes, swish it around if you want to feel extra chefy, and then just leave it to reduce as we move back to the counter. So, for the next step of our chicken and waffle amalgam creation is creating the chicken. So we've got just a bowl of boneless, skinless chicken thighs right here, a breading station of flour, salt, pepper, and oddly enough, baking soda. So the interesting thing about the baking soda in this is that when it combines with the chicken, it actually breaks down some of the peptide bonds in the chicken, allowing the chicken to brown faster, get a little crispier, so you'll just end up with a better fried chicken product overall. So once it goes in the flour and baking soda, it's gonna go into our oat milk here, and then back into the flour again to create a binding, solid, crispy crust. That's gonna go into some preheated sunflower oil over here, and then once that's all done, we're gonna throw it in a low oven while we finish all of our other work. So, you're gonna utilize what's called the wet hand, dry hand technique. So that means one hand comes in contact with the dry, one with the wet. If you don't do that, then you end up with these massive, like thimble-sized clumps of breading on your hand, and it's really not an enjoyable experience. So, I'm gonna take one of the chicken thighs, or maybe we'll do a couple at a time. That one's really small. That, just toss it around, get every facet covered in flour and baking soda and all of the wonderful things that constitute fried chicken that we all know and love oh so dearly, unless you don't, in which case this is all not worth listening or watching. Okay, so we've done that. So now you're gonna take it and you're just gonna let it sit in the milk for just a few seconds. Make sure to press it down, get it covered. Then you're gonna take that back into the flour, drop it down, Again, same process, turn it to coat. Get every part covered. This is really what's gonna help crisp up the chicken, as now it's creating a little more of like a binded crust rather than just some flour that's gonna brown up. So make sure you've got every bit covered as much as possible. So we're just gonna do that, yada, yada, yada. And these are about ready. So you're gonna take your hand, obviously, take it, and then when you put it in the frying pan, you wanna lower it away from you so that if oil splashes, it doesn't splash up onto you. And that sizzle means that our oil is nice and hot. So we're just gonna do that and wait. All right, so we've got the oven at around 170. The chicken's looking pretty done. It's reached a satisfactory temperature, around like 150, 160, 160. You really want to make sure that all the bacteria is killed off. So we're going to take that, put it into a really low oven, about 170, just to keep it warm while we do everything else. All right, chicken's done. Cool. Now we just make waffles. So as the foundation for our chicken and waffles dish, we are obviously going to have to make waffles. Wow, believe it or not, that's a thing that we have to do. Yay. So to start, we're going to incorporate all of our dry ingredients together. So we have about 2 1/4 cups of flour. It's going to go into the bowl here. Like 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. That's going to be one of our leavening agents. So it's going to help make the waffles a little airier and not just a dense mass that's generally disgusting and not appetizing, because we are making relatively decent strides so far, and we want to stand far and away above. I don't even want to think about it ever again, so we're just actually not going to mention it. Then we're going to take our baking soda, similar process as the baking powder. It's also going to help us get some nice browning crispiness on the waffles. So you're going to get about a teaspoon of that. Sprinkle that in. And next up is some salt. About a teaspoon. Again, sprinkled in maybe half a teaspoon. And then, because we have to, and to substitute Swiss Miss, because that's not something that I want to work with again when I'm making food, we're going to use cocoa powder. So cocoa powder is a lot drier than flour, so it's going to absorb more liquid, so you want to be restrained with how you use that. So we're going to start with maybe just a, 3/4 of a tablespoon maybe. Throw that in, and then we can always add more. It's a lot harder to subtract, obviously. So you take your whisk, and you're just going to whisk that together in your dry ingredient bowl to a state of relative homogeneity. It looks like we could maybe add a little bit more cocoa powder, so I'll do maybe a 1/2 tablespoon. So that's probably good. Close that back up, and just whisk some more. Again, you want everything to be evenly incorporated so you don't end up with massive chunks of cocoa powder or baking soda that's not evenly dispersed, or a pocket of salt. That's really just going to ruin the experience of the entire thing. And after consuming Foolish Surprise, you really don't want that. So the next part of this is going to be our liquid base. So we are going to combine 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So that's 4 tablespoons if you don't have a 1/4 cup. We'll say a tablespoon of our vanilla extract. Maybe not a tablespoon. That's a lie. We'd want to do a little less because it's very overpowering. So maybe 2 teaspoons. And then 2 to 3 eggs. We're going to start with 2. If we need more, we've got the extra one to add. That rocketed all over the table. So good luck to whoever gets salmonella. Try to crack this one one-handed. That was a disaster. And then for the next ingredient, uncommon as it is in waffles, we're going to use seltzer. So interestingly enough about seltzer, that's going to help preserve some moisture, create a bit more of a crispy exterior on your waffles. If that doesn't work, then forget I said all of this. I don't know what I'm talking about. I researched this at 9 p.m. And then we're also just going to, again, to preserve moisture, we're going to use about a 1/4 cup of oil. Put that in. And that's just a neutral flavored canola oil. We're not doing it to add any sort of flavor. It's just to affect the consistency. And then you're going to whisk that together. Try to beat some of the carbonated foam out of it if that's possible. When we add the dry ingredients, that's obviously going to dissipate. But foamy waffles is not something that I've given a crack at before, admittedly. So I wouldn't advise it. So once all of that is homogeneous, I think that's our word of the week so far. we are gonna incorporate our dry ingredients. So the key with this is not to overwork it. Overworking it is gonna develop gluten. Gluten is gonna make your waffles tough and chewy. That's not what we want. We want something airy and sort of cakey. So you're gonna add that in. Just a little bit. You wanna move fast because you don't want your baking soda to react with all of the acids too quickly. It's okay if your waffle batter is a little lumpy. That's gonna work itself out when it goes in the iron. So again, just whisk until it's pretty, to use it again, homogeneous. And then we'll go over to the waffle iron. All right, so to finish off the waffles, we're gonna take our batter here. We did have to add a bit more flour, a little over a half cup probably, just to thicken it a bit. We've got a waffle iron that's preheating here, so we're just gonna open it up, take a nice ladle full of the batter, and drop it in. Make sure it's a little evenly dispersed. Clamp it down. In a little bit, you're gonna see steam coming out. Once that steam ceases, or you wanna check it, make sure it's browned, a little crispy on the edges, should be all set. So we're just gonna let it go for a bit, and then we will check it. All right, so the waffle is just about done. Look at that, it's nice brown, solidified, so be very careful. I almost just touched the pan, so don't do what I do in this scenario. Take it out, evacuate it onto a plate with some paper towels, lay it down, and then you repeat. Take a nice ladle full of batter, make sure to evenly spread it throughout your iron, clamp down, wait.
Dude.
Lost where I was. So after a long, arduous process of who even knows how long at this point, maybe 2 hours, it feels like 5, we've made it. We've got chicken and waffles. We did a thing. So it's got all of the core ingredients minus the coffee, which we have a wonderful little espresso here to adorn our typically breakfast food. So I don't have much more to say beyond the fact that we've got some maple cocoa waffles, some delicious fried chicken, and some balsamic lemon lime garnished lemon lime slices to go over top. So I'm gonna try this and then I'll pass it over to the crew. All I'm hoping out of this is that it beats the Foolish Surprise, which I have every hope that it will do. So I'm just gonna get some waffles, some chicken, and a little bit of this lemon lime if I can. If I can. There we go. And then you try it. That was way too much. It's so good though. I don't know if it's just because the last thing I had was Foolish Surprise, or that I'm hungry, but this is outrageously good. You guys can try it now, and maybe I will go drink some coffee. So, how did it taste? How do you feel?
It was really good. I liked it. I would pay for that.
That was delicious. I would have that for dinner tonight.
Really good. I didn't get a lot of chicken, but the flavors were just really well together.
It was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So, how did it taste? How do you feel?
Well, you know.
You know what? It was genuinely a good dish, and I'm very happy about that.
The Foolish Surprise was abysmal. Felt like I was gonna puke. Wanted to get that out of my system as much as possible. That's the last I seek to ever mention it again. Today and after this day, the Foolish Surprise is dead. We mention it no more. How did your dish? How did that taste? How do you feel? I feel great about mine. I will be the first to admit that the lemon lime was a little acidic. It could have used something else to cut it. But I think the fried chicken turned out really well. That's the best I think I've ever made. The waffles were great, especially considering the fact that I've never used seltzer in waffles before. But the culmination of the whole thing was really good. It was eaten in like a minute by everybody, so can't complain about any of that.
And do you have anything to say to Jonah or the chef or any of your crew or anyone else?
Jonah, love you, but you're dead to me for like the next weekend maybe. Everybody else, I'm glad that you didn't think that the second thing was disgusting because it would have put into question all of your palates and taste buds. But I'm really grateful for everybody coming and appreciating the food, so I had a lot of fun. So that concludes episode 3 of Death of the Chef. Being the foolish surprise, we're really glad that you guys watched, and we will see you next week for episode 4. Goodbye. Hello everybody, welcome back to Death of the Chef. This is episode 4 where we turn culinary monstrosities into hopeful masterpieces. Today we are looking at My Condolences to the Chef, a dish by Hugo, which is constituted of tortilla chips in this case. The initial dish was barbecue chips. Hugo is deeply displeased about this. Cheese sticks, barbecue rub because we don't have the barbecue rub for the chips, and a combination of barbecue and hot sauce. So join us as we thoroughly poison ourselves on Death of the Chef. Start today's episode, we are going to be making the dish itself, the Condolences to the Chef. So, initially, it used potato barbecue chips. We don't have those, so what we're going to do is take the tortilla chips, which we're going to use for the significantly better version. We're going to take those. Are they crushed up chips?
Indeed.
To what degree would you like them pulverized?
As much as possible.
As much as possible.
I didn't eat the chip.
Lucky for you, I'm filled with wrath, anger, and displeasement from my day. So we're just gonna... That hurts, like a significant amount.
Yeah, I did it in the bag.
Ah, that was a good idea. I'm regretting my choices. Is that satisfactory?
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright. We'll clean the table after. Now, I suppose it does aid in the fact that these are already pulverized. We're going to take some barbecue rub that I made earlier, some red pepper, onion and garlic powder, salt, a little bit of parsley, all of that fun stuff, typical barbecue flavors. We'll throw a little bit of that in, just mix it to combine to try to emulate your barbecue flavors from before. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter. There's no quality in this, so therefore you don't need to adhere to strictness. Hugo looks very upset. But I am not sorry for anything I have to say. Now we're going to take our cheese sticks, 2 mozzarella cheese sticks. You're going to open them up. You're going to lay one down. And then you're going to repeat the very same process as you open up your second one, or try to, and make a fool out of yourself, such as me. You're going to lay the second one down. Directly adjacent is the second layer of chips crushed.
Yes.
To the same degree.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Some scooping back onto the top might be necessary as well.
Understood. And then we crush. This hurts just as much as the first time around. And then you just... We'll take some of our chips from the bottom, throw them over top. This table's clean. We'll just throw a little of that on there. And then the rest of our barbecue rub. And while this may appear monstrosity enough upon its own, we are not done. We are never done until we hit the microwave. So we're here, and we did this on episode 1. We'll do it again. I've never hated this appliance as much as I did when we started this. It's 45 seconds. I don't think there's any scientific notation for that, so you just have to start. And then you wait.
That's
Did it just bubble?
It's popping, yeah.
Oh my god.
Wait, hang on, let me see.
No, I think this is fine.
Time has elapsed. I don't know. It's not even opening. The microwave doesn't want us to eat this. I quit. It smells so terrible, Hugo. I'm sorry. What does that? Why does cheese does? I didn't know that cheese sticks could become concave. Evidently, it's possible and pungent. We've got barbecue and hot sauce, roughly 50-50. And now we attack it with a spoon, I guess. Oh, okay. It's partially solidified. Ugh. Oh, it's still so stretchy. I don't want to put this in my body. I don't want that much cheese. Ugh. This one. How is this one significantly stretchier? Things you guys make me do. It's tough. Like, not only is the mentality of getting through it tough, but it is physically a challenging thing to consume. It's not the worst. It's really not the worst. But it's so far below the best, or even below the good, or the mediocre. I think the smell just makes me want to remove this from existence. Get to eat it now, I guess.
How do you feel?
It did not please my refined palate, but it did not actively harm me.
Every time I go on Death as Chef, I feel like I understand Hugo better.
I feel pretty good, I'll be honest.
For a new Hugo culinary enjoyer, I feel like I'm doing alright.
Alright, I suppose. I mean, was a little energizing, I suppose. I don't know.
I wouldn't eat it again unless there was some outside incentive.
How did it taste?
Not necessarily great. It was fine at first, and then the cheese hit me. It was salty. It tasted pointless. Everything about this is pointless.
That tasted bad initially, but tasted pretty good afterwards.
Pretty spicy. I got a lot of the sauce.
The tortilla chips instead of potato chips didn't make as much of an impact as I thought it would. I don't know why the cheese was concave though. That did not happen for me. The cheese was like melty and such.
For the second bite I took, because I did take a second bite, it got good faster.
It was tough, which surprised me.
I have spent and will spend every day of the rest of my life thankful that Hugo never bothers to actually learn how to cook on stovetop or with enough.
Hugo made the statement, you don't know why it was concave. Because it was in the microwave for 45 seconds. That'll do scary things to cheese. It was leathery, it was tough. I feel like its aroma and pungency translated into flavor in a way I just can't describe properly. Every time I step into the kitchen, those fond childhood memories of cheese sticks lost forever. Because I microwaved it for 45 seconds. I don't think I can forgive myself. I don't think I'll be able to forgive Hugo. I think that's lost. All right, well, now that we've purged that from our minds, bodies, and systems, we're going to do something actually quite fun. We are going to make nachos, not just standard nachos, barbecue chicken nachos with homemade queso and salsa. So, let's get started. All right, so to begin, we are going to make the barbecue sauce for our barbecue chicken, just because that's going to take a while to cook down and get into our nice thick syrupy consistency. So to start, we are going to take roughly 1 cup of ketchup as our base. Scoop all of that into your pot, which is not on at the moment, which is why nothing is melting out of existence and we're not dying from carcinogenic fumes. So important to keep that in mind. About a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, pour that in. 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. Again, added. Do a couple squirts of lime juice. Tablespoon or 2 of mustard. That was probably a bit more, but that's okay. Some cayenne or paprika just to taste. So that's purely user preference depending on your spice tolerance. A couple cloves worth of garlic. And a half cup of water. Then you're gonna turn your oven on, or your stove to medium heat. Just stir all of that together. And then you're just gonna let it cook down for a while. So we're gonna make what would typically be a salsa roja. My tomatoes are orange, so it's a salsa anaranjado now. So that's fine. But to start, we're gonna begin obviously with our tomatoes because this is gonna be finished off in the food processor. We are really just gonna do a very rough chop, again, because everything is going in the food processor. So it's gonna be broken down. Inconsistencies are okay as well, because that's what's gonna give us our chunky salsa consistency. So again, just bisecting it, then slicing, which will be ultimately, again, processed into a delicious amalgam, saying it correctly this time, of onion, olive oil, a little bit of vinegar, tomatoes, and because I don't have a jalapeno, we will use 1 small, de-seeded, deveined ghost pepper. Give it a little bit of heat without hopefully killing everybody, because from experience, ghost pepper, eating it raw whole, not a good idea. Do not recommend that experience. So don't do that with your time. We are now going to process our salsa, so we're going to take all of our tomatoes, throw them into our lovely, lovely food processor. Again, very roughly chopped because this is the point of salsa. Take your yellow onion, kind of cram it in there. We've got some pre-sliced red onion, which my hands are too wet to open. This is a struggle. Take one of your 20 paper towels, open it up that way. Throw in an undisclosed amount. It's really dealer's choice. That's maybe a little under a quarter cup. A few squirts once more of lime juice. And then you're gonna take maybe a clove, 2 cloves of garlic, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of your ghost pepper. This is hotter than I anticipated, so be careful with that. Some cilantro, and we will add salt afterwards to taste. So you're gonna throw on your lid if you have one like I do. Set it to the chop setting rather than the puree. And then just pulse it very roughly a few times until you've got a mixture that is just homogeneous enough. And then have a little bit of fun with it too. And then you end up with salsa. So the dominant part here, there's a very important test to figure out if your salsa is good. Very based in science. You take your spoon, you take, oh, I don't know, just a little spoonful like this, and then you eat it. And then you think, what does it need? Ours obviously needs a little bit of salt. But aside from that, it's got really great flavors, so we are just gonna cap it off. Ooh, that was a bit of salt. So we are just gonna grab that, take a little bit out, and then throw this back on. Because it's already very processed, you wanna be really careful with how much you do it from here, because otherwise you end up with more of a paste than a salsa. And then that's it. You have salsa. Look at you go. And taste. And you find out it's delicious. So, good job. Now you have salsa. Alright, so for the next step, we're going to make our queso, which is going to go with everything else. So to start, we're going to make a roux to build it upon. So what that entails is first getting a little bit of butter. We took roughly 2 tablespoons and just cooking it over medium heat for a little bit. That's going to drive out some of the excess moisture that's in butter, which is going to give you a thicker roux rather than a thin one. We're going to take an equal part of flour. We're going to dump it in, whisk that around, and cook it until all of the raw flour smell has been driven off, about 2 minutes. And you've got a nice thickening substance, for lack of a better word. Again, we just want to make sure all that raw flour taste and smell is going to be cooked out of it first. So that just entails whisking rather constantly. Okay. Now we're going to take about 1.5 cups of cold milk, and we're just slowly going to stream it in a little bit at a time to prevent clumping. If your pan is too hot, the cold milk is going to help cool that down rather rapidly. Try not to spill it on your stovetop like I just did. Again, a little bit at a time. Stir it in so it doesn't clump up, which it very well may do, so just be prepared. And then you'll add a bit more. Now that we've fully emulsified and incorporated our milk, you're going to take your cheese. We've shredded some Monterey Jack, queso fresco, and some mozzarella. Just going to throw all of that right on in. You can see we've got a variety of drier and slightly more hydrated cheeses, all of which are going to lend different flavors and complexities to the overall queso once they are melted. So you're going to turn that down to low a bit, just to not over stress the cheese itself. Again, you want to shred your own cheese though. The pre-shredded stuff, as we talked about on the show before, has a lot of declumping agents that are going to mean that your cheese doesn't really melt into as smooth a consistency as it otherwise would. So if you are like myself and end up with a thin queso and would like one that is thicker, a very common remedy for sauces to make them thicker is to use something like cornstarch, which will, should it be cooked, not change the flavor all that much, but just generally help your sauce to clump up. So just add a little bit, because again, you don't want large clumps of the cornstarch, you just want it to act as a way to kind of bind your sauce together. The cornstarch is just going to do a little better than our flour did at the very beginning when we made our roux. So just add a little bit, mix it, add a bit more if you need to.
2, 1, go.
I didn't know nachos could take this long, but we're here. We're in our final assembly. After this, we get to chuck it in the oven and forget for like 10 to 15 minutes. So let's get going. We're just going to lay down a base of our tortilla chips, not potato chips this time intentionally. Then we are going to take a handful of some pre-grated Monterey Jack cheese, throw that over top. Take a ladle full of our wonderful queso and just kind of spoon that over top. Trust me, it tastes better than it looks, which you probably shouldn't have to say when you're talking about food, but who cares? I made this so I get to be as awful a person as I want. Take some of your barbecue chicken. There's probably a much better way to go about grabbing it. This is how I feel like doing it. So, you know what? No one is allowed to judge. And then, now that that has been added, you can take some red onions, throw those over top. Then we're gonna do layer number 2, because nachos should always be layered. Any nacho worth its salt is. Then you're just going to take the rest of this here cheese, because we're not going to need it ever again. Throw it on top. Try to get as much as you can, because cheese is wonderful. You're going to take some more of your queso. Throw that over top. And then you're gonna take your red onions, throw those on top. Take the rest of your barbecue chicken, which is just some shredded chicken mixed with the barbecue sauce that we finished cooking down from earlier. And to hell with it, I'm grabbing it with my hands because I don't care. And you guys can suffer from the 10 different communicable diseases that come from it. Then, some final finishing touches. We're gonna put some pickled jalapenos on there, something that can be easily removed, but for those who enjoy them, are gonna be really a nice touch of dichotomy and flavor that we otherwise wouldn't have had. And then, because we never have enough cheese in this world, you can take some cotija cheese, if you have it, and just crumble it over top. This cheese isn't much of a melter, so that's why it wasn't with all of our other gratings, but it's going to brown up a little bit, look really nice, taste really nice. But again, if we added it throughout the rest of it, it would just kind of clump up and be a generally dissatisfactory experience. And I just realized I zoned out for all of the last few things that I said, so I don't know if they make any semblance of sense. From here, we're gonna throw this situation into the oven for 10-15 minutes, and then we'll be all set. All right, so it's come out of the 375 degree oven for about 10 minutes, and we threw it under the broiler for another minute and a half, just to get some browning. Topped it off with some of our salsa, a little bit of cilantro to make it look like this is chefy, and then I put it on a hot plate because this is about 400 degrees. So, after all of our hard work, all of this time, took much more than nachos really should, we get to taste test. So, I'm going to do just that and try not to touch the plate in the process. Get a chip that has a little bit of everything. Get some salsa. Those are some genuinely stellar nachos. A vast degree of flavors from the cheese. The chips got a little soggy, but that's to be expected with all of the cheese. Barbecue's nice, sweet, tangy. Same with the jalapenos. The salsa's a nice, refreshing balance to go with all of that. So I think it wholeheartedly redeems what we just did. So you guys get to try it. How do you feel?
Better. Significantly. I feel genuinely good, which is a odd occurrence for this show.
I feel just fine. It was pretty good food. In fact, very good food, I'd say.
I feel excellent. I got to have like a 6.5 out of 10 meal, like some bites of it. And then I got to have like a 9 out of 10 meal. It was a very good jump.
Refreshed mainly. Not to say that Hugo's was bad. I very much understand where he was coming from when he made it. But that was a great meal.
How did it taste?
Very good. I've never been much of a nacho fan. I mean, they're generally just fine. But these were very good. Thanks, Shane.
That absolutely was my favorite Death of a Chef meal. Also, probably in my top 5, top 10, maybe top 1 nachos.
It was so good. The cheese was like pretty complicated, but not like the kind of complicated that I can't deal with because my taste buds are too good. It was so good. The chips went great with it. The salsa was great, and I don't usually like homemade salsa. And the spice was like just the right amount. And the sweetness of the chicken kind of messed with me a bit, but then I adapted and it was great.
So much better. Those are probably the best nachos I've had. I was gonna say in a while, but that's probably just the best nachos I've had. Whereas the original could not be described as like, normal food. So, big improvement.
Today was a very rainy day. It was weirdly tiring. Filming was a bit much. So the satisfaction of seeing everybody really enjoy it and tasting it and realizing that it was quite delicious, some of the best nachos I've had, made me quite happy. Once again, thank you everybody for coming, joining us for episode 4 of Death of the Chef. We've made it through 4 episodes.
So that's wild. Yeah, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week for our next abomination. Adios. All right, welcome back to episode 5 of Death of the Chef, the show where we take culinary monstrosities and turn them into hopeful masterpieces. Today we have an unnamed dish created by Jonah. Shocker. It features shredded cheese, pretzels, brioche, chocolate sauce, strawberry jam, and butter in a creation that will most certainly cause a terrible pungent aroma in my household. So, join us as we thoroughly poison ourselves on episode 5 of Death of the Chef. Alright, so let's just get this out of the way, I suppose. We're going to set those aside. They will come into play a little later. But first we must lay the foundation for this. So we've got some store-bought brioche bread. It's not going to win any awards, but for our miserable intents, it will certainly get the job done. We're going to start with slice number 1, placed in the middle section of your plate. You are then going to take your 4-cheese Mexican blend, thinly shredded, as the specificity of Jonah. Jonah, when you're done doing whatever it is you're doing, can you direct how much cheese you would like?
Perfect.
That is perfect. All right. Love to hear it. We only ever strive for perfection and death in this household. Then we're going to take our Hershey's chocolate syrup. And once again, you are going to direct me. Please tell me this isn't double sealed. It is double sealed. I should have paid attention.
Drizzle it generously.
Drizzle it generously. I'm not going to bite it off with my teeth.
What are your teeth for?
Eating.
Why?
Not this, hopefully.
That's fine. That makes
Inadvertently add a decorative chef's smear. And
It's like when
then,
they put the sauce around them.
exactly.
Classic chef
Just like in the
themselves.
menu.
Shake it up because maybe that's what you do with chocolate sauce. I don't know. I don't use this enough. And then, oh my god.
A little more.
Little more.
Perfect.
That's not perfect.
Okay, so because I don't want to dirty another plate doing, oh, that is mushy and gushy and all other adjectives, so we're just gonna, okay. So now we take our second slice, and I don't want to come in contact with too much of that chocolate sauce, but whatever. For those who are die-hard fans of the show, or just chose to waste their time, this is the very same strawberry fruit spread from episode 1, Tom's Lament. Tom is currently decommissioned, but he is displaying his pride. So, we're gonna take said strawberry fruit spread, try to evacuate it from the container, place it on top. After this, I will have Jonah once more judge the degree to which it has been smattered atop. We're just gonna, go for it. How does that look?
Pretty good.
More, less, as is?
A little more. Just a little bit. Looks good.
That is deemed satisfactory. I'm gonna set that off to the side. And this is where the pretzels come into play now. It's an interesting combo, one I personally would not have considered. Lightly crushed, I'm assuming. Just, because there's no real purpose to this particular step.
I'm looking forward to this.
That is sad. You should
Originally,
not.
these were the peanut butter filled pretzels, but unfortunately, some of our colleagues are weak, so we're using just.
Yeah, the chef's the
pretzels.
only one allowed to die here.
Yeah.
Siska's back in the microwave?
For the record, I wouldn't.
Yes, with both of them.
For how long?
Jake would have.
Another 30 seconds, probably.
Another 30 seconds. Well, just, it's tradition at this point.
And I'll see
Let's
you
go.
in
I'll
the
see you at the
next
microwave.
episode.
Alright, well, it's been stated that 30 seconds is required once more. And then we say goodbye to any semblance of hope we had for this.
It's time, Shane.
Ooh, it's sizzling. Ooh, okay. Okay, that is some mushy bread. Now we gotta make a sandwich.
It's concave. I didn't know it would do that. So we're gonna add, I don't know, that's probably a tablespoon of butter. This is just barely holding its shape. I'm terrified to see. Oh, it's already starting to melt. We're gonna sandwichify this. That's not a word. Like, oh my god, it's... Just invert that. Get a look at what is... It's steaming actively. This is about to go in my stomach in a matter of moments. I genuinely think that I got very lucky because this show has conditioned me to not feel anything. This doesn't taste like anything to me. And maybe I just didn't get cheese, but I can't taste anything right now. And I'm wondering if that means I should go back. There's cheese on that bite. Oh yeah, that was stretchy. And that makes me regret my choice. That was genuinely terrible. Oh. Oh, no. No. I'll let everyone else try it, and then they can formulate their opinions. Yeah, you guys have fun.
I have a pretty neutral opinion on that. I took a bite, and I got something bad that I think my brain partially blocked out, and then chocolate sauce.
That was like a 6 out of 10. Like possibly an 8 out of 10 sans jam. Jelly, whatever. I enjoyed that. Any questions?
So, I don't know, I have no strong opinions on this dish. Conceptually, I don't think this should have been real. I don't know if the camera caught that. Shane just threw the brioche bread onto the counter. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It's an insult to me. It's an insult to Jonah. It's an insult to the chef.
I feel great. I feel like that. I'm not sure why it was getting so much hate.
I feel like Jonah is trying to come up with just the worst things he can make instead of meals sometimes.
Tasted pretty good, but I don't feel good about it.
Like, I would eat that, you know? I would make that, and I would eat it.
It tasted truly awful. This is the first thing I've had in the show that has triggered my gag reflex.
Yeah, I think that belongs in a restaurant.
Definitely ranks near the bottom of what we've done so far. I don't really know what to say about it. I'm fortunate that I didn't get much flavor in the first one. It felt like a net zero effect. I regret going in for a second bite because that's when I got hit with the cheese and the chocolate, and that was a truly unfortunate combination. I don't recall who said that they would pay for it in a restaurant. They are absolutely incorrect. It was Catherine. I think food should be to each their own, but that was just a genuine false belief, and I can't get past that, even for a friend.
So we had some minor difficulties with our recording and audio, so you get the wonderful nature of a voiceover for the first time on Death of the Chef. So in this aspect, we're now going to be pivoting away from what was such a dreadful concoction of a little bit of good and largely just dreadful, unholy combinations of cheese and chocolate, which we don't ever have to revisit again in that capacity. What we are going to do is make something called a sweet pizza. Odd as it sounds, they are common, usually tying in fig, prosciutto, all of that wonderful stuff. Ours is going to lean into the nature of more of a dessert style, so we are going to make our own pizza dough, top it off with a fig jam, goat cheese, which will play very nice with our sweet elements, a dark chocolate drizzle, leaning into the dark chocolate because that's going to add a different earthy, very mildly bitter undertone to play very well with our sweet fig jam. And we're going to top that off with some of the crushed salted pretzels once more because those may add a nice textural dichotomy. So, join us as we try to enjoy the rest of our evening with a good meal.
Alright, so for the first step of our improvement, we have to finish making our pizza dough. So we started that last night. This was started at 8 p.m. last night. It is now what, like 2:30 p.m. the next day. It's been a long time. So, to do that, we've got our dough. It's been fermenting for, it needs anywhere between 12 and 24 hours. We're healthily in that range. So, this batch that I made last night makes 2 doughs, so we are just going to throw down an indiscriminate amount of flour. If you're gluten-free, that sucks. Then we're going to take our pizza dough and just try to very carefully, for the most part, turn it out onto said bed of flour. Form it into a general ball like such. Tuck it over or into itself. You take your bench scraper, divide it into 2, generally, and then again, just kind of tuck it underneath itself continuously so that when it does proof, it's working against its own tension, and that allows it to form a nice circular shape. You're going to plop it down in one bowl, and you're going to repeat the very same process with your second piece of dough. And then with the plastic wrap that you totally didn't forget to grab, which I'm going to go do right now because naturally I will always forget something. You're going to bring that back, make it look like it was always here, fail miserably. Then you're going to cover one of them. You're going to try to cover one of them. And you're going to take that and you're going to let it sit aside. And then you're going to take the next one and you're going to cover it. And you're going to let it sit aside, both of which for roughly 45 minutes, not until they've doubled in size. There's not enough yeast to do that, but just so they're still puffy, the gluten's allowed time to relax, and they're ready to make into pizzas. This is relatively melted. We're going to turn the heat just about off because it's going to stay melted for a while. We're just going to hit it with a little bit of salt, not a whole lot. This is just my choice. I don't know if that's going to make a monochrome of a difference in the end, but incorporate that. Hopefully it doesn't cause the chocolate to break, in which case we'd have to do this all over again, but it really shouldn't do anything beyond elevate the flavor just a tad. So we've got that incorporated. We're going to turn the heat off, just let this hang out until we are ready to use it, which will be momentarily. Alright.
So we are ready to get going. So we're going to take one of our balls of dough. It's had about 45 minutes, give or take. The gluten should be nice, relaxed, stretchy, pliable, and delightful. You're going to toss it to coat it in a bit of flour to make it a little more workable. And then we're not going to roll it out. You're just going to pass it through your hands. It's not quite big enough to do the knuckle over knuckle quite yet, but just going to work it out into a general round. We want something that's stretched as thin as possible, and by letting it rest, you're going to let that gluten relax, and it's going to be much easier to do this process. If you ever gotten like the pizza dough from the store, that stuff is, if you treat it correctly, applicable for pizzas. It's just very challenging to get right. And if you've ever noticed, if you try to do it from when it's cold and you just immediately take it out of the fridge, it always kind of retracts to its initial shape. And that is because the gluten is very tight, so it just will pull back. If you let it rest and come up to room temperature, then you'll have a much easier time getting it to hold its shape and working it into whatever shape it is that you would like for your pizza purposes. So, again, toss it down, stretch it out a bit, try to get it coated in the flour on the bottom. If you get it too much on the top, then it's gonna impede your topping's ability to top, and we don't want that. So stretch it, toss it. If you toss it down on the bottom on your work surface, you get a better idea of what shape you're looking at, and you can see where to adjust. These pizzas are gonna be relatively small. That's okay. Try to keep a bit of a rim on there so you have a crust, unless you don't like crust, in which case, I don't know what to tell you. You can just make a flat, I suppose. So we're gonna work with a small pizza here. And that's probably satisfactory. We've put a bunch of cornmeal down in our pizza peel. That's gonna make it easier to slide off into the oven. Give it a little shake back and forth. You can see it's all set. So we're gonna head over to a 500-degree oven, maxed out, that's been heating for about an hour at this point. So let's get going. All right, so 500-degree oven, it's been heating up for about an hour. We've got 2 pizza stones in there, one on the bottom, one on the top. The one on the bottom is what we're gonna use because that's gonna have radiant heat coming down from the top. So, and it goes. Key is moving quickly here because you don't want to lose any heat. Turn the timer on for just a few minutes. What we want to do is allow our pizza to crisp up a little bit before we add our other toppings. That way it gets brown, crispy, and we don't burn some of the sugars in what we're gonna be using. We've had a few minutes in the oven. We're gonna take it out. Slide it out, get your pizza peel, slide it on top, and close up the oven, let it heat up a bit. And now we're gonna add our toppings. So we come, okay. So, to start, we're gonna take a base layer of fig jam, which is much thicker than I expected. My God. This is gonna be an arduous process. Hopefully the heat from the pizza helps melt it a bit. Ooh, it feels like it just came out of a 500-degree oven. Try to get as much as you can without scalding your fingers. Ow, jeez, this is hot. I don't know why I'm working so quickly. It's going back in the oven, so there's no point. Take your time, enjoy life, enjoy what you do. Unless you're me and had to eat the unnamed sandwich before this, or what did we call it? The ghost sandwich? I don't remember. So you're gonna add your fig jam, then you're gonna take some goat cheese, throw it over top. Goat cheese is gonna be pretty crumbly, so don't worry if you don't have perfect slices. That adds to the aesthetic. Then, because this potentially contains some allergens, we're only gonna put this on part of our pizza. You can do all of yours if you'd like. This is our melted chocolate sauce. And then, can I get the pretzels back over here, please? Thank you. And then we're just gonna crush some of these all over top. Like such. I don't know what's going on over. Are you guys playing rock, paper, scissors?
No.
At such a time?
At a time such as this. To act.
Alright. So it's going back in the oven now. Let's go. And in we go. For another few minutes. And it comes out. Look at that. Oh, that is nice burnished brown. Looking delicious. Close it up. Hit the cancel button. And we're going to head on over.
Alright, so it's out of the oven. We're going to slice it up and consume it as you do with pizza. So, that is what I was hoping we would hear. Some degree of crunch, meaning that it is cooked well enough. I'm going to leave this to you guys to cut up so that it doesn't come in contact with the dark chocolate and possibly kill you. How many people do we have? Yeah, like 6, I don't know. 7. We'll cut them into quarters. That is outrageously hot. Alright, now that you've got your... Fucking shit. Sugar doesn't cool down easily. Don't launch 500-degree fig jam on your hand. It's hot. So, we are going to take a wonderful slice. Look at that. Crispiness, browning, crisp on the bottom. And then you just must be prepared to scorch your mouth. The crunch of the pretzels is a really odd note, but the sweet and the salty offset the saltiness of the chocolate offsets the sweet of the fig jam. The cheese plays really well. The pizza dough is great. It's nice and airy. I don't know if it's my favorite thing that we've done so far, but it is really quite good. So you guys can try it now.
I'm sorry. I just really don't like jelly. It was understandable when Tom's Lament in the first thing, just because it was strawberry jelly and less noticeable. But this has just fully pitted me against the fact that I just really do not like jelly.
I mean, yeah, that was quite enjoyable. It was my first time having a sweet pizza. Good first time. Shane's first time making one. Good first creation.
I would say this was pretty good. I enjoyed this quite a bit. If anything, maybe it was a little bit salty in comparison to the sweet, but overall, a good meal. I'd say it probably serves as a good midpoint of the Shane meals we've had on here. A good 3rd place out of 5 we've had.
It was a lot better. I don't know what Hugo's screaming about. But it was definitely not a typical pizza, but I think it worked well.
I liked it. I think I liked them like an equal amount, which I think Shane is gonna be sad about. But I think this one is more likely to be served in a restaurant. And I'd pay like a little more money for it because it seems like fancier. But if I were at home and like having a day and I needed like comfort food, I would eat the first one, is all I'm saying. But I respect Shane as a chef. He has a great handshake. And and yeah. Hey.
It's not my favorite thing that we've made on the show so far, but it was really, I think, still quite good. Hugo, sorry you don't like jelly. Not sorry. Don't really care. I enjoyed it. Ultimately, this is my show. Just kidding. It's our show. But this is my kitchen, so I liked it. I don't care what anyone else says. It was fun to make. I've never made it before, too, so that made it all the more enjoyable. And it was eaten regardless, so what is there to complain about in the end? Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is episode 5. We've done 5 of these so far. That is astonishing. We're nearing the end of this season, but we've still got some really exciting things in store, so stick around. This has been episode 5 of Death of the Chef. Adios.